I'm 76 years old. At this age, I'm supposed to be sitting here telling you about success, about fulfillment, about a life well lived. But I'm not. To be honest, the strongest thing I feel right now is regret. A late regret. I lived my entire life based on a false belief. A belief I wish someone had punched me in the face over when I was 20 and shaken me awake. God help me. The belief sounded decent. It sounded fair. It sounded moral. If you sacrifice enough, if you give enough, life will pay you back. Sounds reasonable, right? I thought so too. I bet my entire life on that rule. And it took me more than 70 years to realize this. It wasn't the truth. It was a trap. And I was the one who set it for myself. I'm not a selfish man, or at least I never allowed myself to think I was. In the life story I wrote for myself, I always played the role of the quiet hero. I was always the first one there and the last one to leave. I was the guy who volunteered for the night shifts no one wanted. I was the husband who never complained, the father who never said no. At work, at home, in my marriage with Susan, with my kids, I ran on autopilot, carry the load. But what no one saw, what I hid even from myself in the darkest corners of my mind, was a quiet calculation. I never said it out loud, but under every sacrifice, I secretly attached an invisible invoice. This matters. They'll remember this. To me, that wasn't manipulation. That was fairness. I married Susan when I was 26. We were poor back then. All we had was youth and half-formed dreams. I worked at a machine factory in Ohio. Hard labor. Grease worked its way under my fingernails, so deep no amount of scrubbing could ever fully clean it out. But I loved the feeling when overtime was announced. My hand went up first. When a machine broke down at 2 a.m., my name was the one they called. I dragged my exhausted body home at dawn, looked at Susan sleeping, and told myself, this is what a good husband does. I'm sacrificing for her. And Susan, my gentle wife, would look at me with gratitude and say, you're so good at handling things, Rick. I don't know what the kids and I would do without you. God, I was addicted to those words. They were like a drug. They dulled my back pain. They blurred my exhaustion. They confirmed that I mattered, that I was indispensable. And in the invisible ledger in my head, I added another line. Susan owes me a little more. From age 35 to 55, I ran like a machine. That's when that false belief took its deepest root. At work, they called me, Reliable Rick. A coworker needed help. I did it. The boss dumped a hard job on me with no extra pay. I nodded without hesitation. Did I mind? Not at all. I was addicted to being needed. It made me feel valuable. I thought I was a hero. In reality, I was just a man who didn't know how to say no. At home, the role continued. Bills, roof repairs, school choices for the kids, vacation planning. I took everything on myself. I never asked for help. I competed to suffer. I grabbed all the responsibility like I was afraid someone would steal my misery from me. Because I was calculating, just keep going, Rick. Accumulate it. One day, all of this will add up to a massive reward. One day, they'll put you on a pedestal. But then the kids grew up. Michael moved away for school. Emily got married in another state. The house became terrifyingly quiet, just Susan and me. That's when the cracks started to show. I kept giving, kept fixing, kept providing, but the old enthusiasm was gone. In its place was a deep sense of emptiness. I remember nights sitting alone in the freezing garage, wrench covered in grease, staring into nothing. I'd look up at the bedroom window. Susan had turned off the lights hours ago, and questions started creeping in. Why am I suffering like this while she sleeps so peacefully? After everything I've done, why doesn't anyone even call to ask if I'm tired? I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I didn't want to look like a bitter old man. So I swallowed it, and it turned into a hard lump of resentment stuck in my throat. I kept being good, kept sacrificing, but now my kindness had turned into a weapon. I did good things to make them feel guilty. I took care of them so they'd feel ashamed for not taking care of me. It was a quiet revenge, one I didn't even dare to admit to myself. When I was 71, my body finally went on strike. No dramatic accident, no sudden tragedy, just exhaustion. My heart, after decades of carrying everyone's expectations, slipped out of rhythm. I collapsed in the kitchen while trying to fix a leaking pipe, something I should have called a plumber for years ago. I woke up in intensive care, machines beeping steadily, the sharp smell of antiseptic. I stared at the white ceiling, and for the first time in 71 years, I waited for life to pay me back. I waited for my wife to cry in regret for not taking better care of me. I waited for my kids to drop everything, fly home, and say, "Dad, you've sacrificed enough. Let us take care of you now." But reality? They came, but there was no dramatic scene. Susan came worried, tired, but she still had to go home to feed the dog. Michael and Emily visited. They sat in my hospital room, scrolling on their phones, answering work emails. They discussed who should go get coffee. No statue was built, just a sick 71-year-old man lying in a hospital bed, and the world kept moving. That's when I felt empty, not angry, just devastatingly disappointed. Like I'd been cheated. I wanted to scream, "I gave you my whole life. Why am I not getting what I deserve?" On the third afternoon in the hospital, my oldest son, Michael, stayed behind to sit with me. He peeled an apple. The sound of the knife scraping echoed in the quiet room. I watched him, full of resentment, silently waiting for an apology, for recognition. Michael put the knife down and looked at me for a long time. His eyes weren't pitying. They were understanding mixed with sadness. Then he said, gently, but straight through my chest, "Dad, you know something? We never asked you to carry everything like that." I froze. My breath caught. Michael continued, each word cutting deeper. "Mom never asked you to work that much overtime. Emily and I never wanted you to give up everything you enjoyed just to buy us things. You always said you did it for the family, but sometimes it felt like you were doing it to prove something. We love you, Dad, but please don't act like we owe you our entire lives." It's heavy. No accusation, no disrespect, just the truth. And in that moment, the hero castle I'd spent 70 years building collapsed completely. That night, I couldn't sleep. Michael's words unlocked the prison I'd built for myself. I realized something terrifying. The contract I believed we had all signed was written by me alone. I wrote the terms, I priced the sacrifices, I signed my own name. Susan and my kids never saw that contract, let alone agreed to it. I called my actions love, but the truth was harder to accept. It was control. I didn't give just to give. I gave to be needed. I gave to feel superior. I gave to bind them to gratitude. And when they didn't repay me at the price I'd secretly set, I felt wronged. Lying there, listening to the heart monitor beep, I understood I couldn't blame anyone. Susan never asked me to disappear into responsibility. My kids never asked me to put myself last. They thought I was fine, because I always said I was fine. They thought I liked doing those things. I turned giving into a burden for myself and into invisible debt for the people I loved. Unspoken expectations turn love into resentment, and resentment destroys everything it touches. That's the lesson I learned with white hair and a tired heart. Late but better than never, it took me a long time to redefine what giving really means. Here's what I learned. If you give and feel angry when you're not repaid, that's not love. That's business. If you give while mentally keeping score, that's not generosity. That's accounting. It's a transaction the other person never agreed to. Real giving is completely free. No demand for repayment. No need for recognition. And most importantly, if giving makes you resentful, exhausted, or burned out, stop, because at that point, you're betraying yourself. Now, at 76, I live differently. I do less. I don't fight to take other people's responsibilities. I let Susan call the plumber if I'm tired. I let my kids solve their own problems. But what I do give, I give fully. A phone call because I genuinely miss them. A hug because I truly want to feel their warmth. A small gift for no reason at all and I forget about it immediately. No scorecards, no hidden expectations, no debt ledger, and for the first time in my life, I feel light. I'm no longer exhausted by my own kindness. I remember something my father used to say, words I ignored when I was young. If you give while counting, you'll always feel like you're losing. Now I understand. I just wish he were still here so I could apologize. I spent most of my life believing that if I sacrificed enough, I'd be compensated. I was wrong. What I learned at the cost of an entire lifetime is this. Only give what you're willing to let the wind carry away without expecting it to return. Everything else has a price, and that price is usually your peace. So I'll leave you with the question I wish someone had asked me when I was 26. Are you giving out of real love, or are you giving because you hope one day someone will owe you? Answer it before you grow old like me. And if this truly touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with 3 people who came to your mind just now so they can wake up sooner than I did.